I told the group yesterday, everybody in this room wants high prices, including myself. It's not anything that I like to come out here and give you a negative message. Everybody's income, when ag prices are higher, we all do better. And I'm no exception. But I could be honest, or I could tell you what you want to hear. I think we all do better if we're trying to plan for honesty here. So we'll go through a little bit of ag cycles, and we'll talk about the global grain markets. To me, there's the global grain markets today are more important than they ever have in history. And we're going to go through the domestic corn and soybean markets, and then we'll put it all together, talk a little about new crop. Again, anytime you have questions, just let me know, stop me. So I'm going to start with just a general look at supply and demand of U.S. corn. Now I'm going to spend most of the time talking about corn, because I think corn of the three commodities is by far the most meaningful. It's the one that's the driver of the entire grain complex. And frankly, looking at this slide, you can probably tell it was the leader of the whole revolution that happened in mid-2002. So what I'm looking at here is production in the U.S. in the kind of more erratic light blue line. We're looking at demand in the darker blue line. And I see in this chart 4 phases. The one on the left is basically 88 to 2003. Through that time frame, I've got this red dotted line. That is the demand trend. You can see we had just standard stagnant yearly growth of about 150 million bushels. That's just usually something to do with population growth, normal feed increases, so and so. Not a great growth U.S. demand. What happened in 2003? 2003, 2004, we started to have a transition. We all know in this room what was going on. What was the word? Ethanol. Ethanol growth started, the mandates started kicking in. These mandates brought in 500 million bushels of corn demand per year. New demand. Something we hadn't seen ever. And look at what happened to your demand growth curve. You went from something like this, that's just linear trend type of thing, to something like this. And what happened in 2003 to 2008? What did the market start to do? Price-wise, what do we think about the prices? Did they generally trend higher or lower or sideways? They started trending higher. What was the goal of that higher trending market? What were we trying to do? Buy acres, right? We were trying to find a way to make sure that the market had the production to meet this demand growth that we knew was going to take place all the way through 2008, 2009. So all of a sudden, we were in a very different marketing pattern, something that was just sideways stagnant. I started at SC Stone in 1998, and from 98 to 2003, I didn't even see a 5 on the board. That includes soybean prices. So we were in a different time back then. Then all of a sudden we started seeing new demand growth. And again, this is why I focus on corn. It was ethanol led. We got to 2008, 2009. 2008, pretty much every single thing that happened in 2008 was bullish. Basically, mirror image of where we are today. Everything that was happening in 2008 was friendly. We finally got the acres. We ended up kind of meeting what the renewable fuel standard was needing for an acreage makeup and corn production to meet ethanol demand. Then the funny thing happened right around the peak of ethanol usage. What happened in 2010? Does anyone remember? If you look at that slide, you kind of see one thing started to happen. 2010, we had the first of 3 consecutive dry years in the U.S. Growing season. 2011 and 2012 by far worse. And you can see what started to happen. Production started to roll over. So we had an $8 corn year in 2008. We had an $8 corn year in 2012. Look at how much different those 2 years were. The 2008 year was because of 2 reasons. One, we had strong demand, but the second was we were starting to fear some crop problems. 2012 was completely crop related. We had one of the worst yields in history. To put it in perspective, the yield in 2012 versus the yield in 2014 was almost 50 bushels an acre difference nationally. So in 2012, all of a sudden we had to cut demand. We had to start eliminating demand because we didn't have the supply to meet the demand. So we started basically, we shut off our export program. We raised prices enough that we made the balance sheets work. My point in all this is those segments in there, from basically 2003 to 2012, 13, we came out of the low price environment and transitioned from those two phases, as different as they were, into a high price phase, right? Low prices, stagnant demand growth, supply was meeting demand. This time, all of a sudden, fears supply might not meet demand, or fears that we were going to have a weather problem and have to ration them. All of a sudden, 2013, we had something very different take place. We actually had a trend line yield for a change. 2014, we had a record yield. 2015, last year, we had our second best yield in U.S. foreign history. So we're back on different phase. Demand growth today is pretty stagnant. It's not where it was during the ethanol load-out phase. It's a very different pattern than we were in either of these two segments. So that's what I want us to say, is that we're back to definitely a different pattern now. What's interesting also is that this isn't just grain related. Because if you've watched, you've heard, I mean, we know we fill up our cars every day. We know what's going on in the outside markets as well. This chart shows grains, and it also charts crude oil prices since the start of 2014. And you can see we had a little bit of an uptick during the first quarter of 2014, and since then it's been all negative. And crude, obviously, been the leader of that. So this isn't just a grain market thing. And what's interesting about all of these markets, the fundamentals, I just got done talking about cycles. In 2008, we also had some cycles that were working that were bringing us $140 crude oil. You know, there were some fundamentals there. There were obviously some speculators driving prices up as well. But we did see cycles for both of those markets. And now we're in a much different situation where we had some overproduction of every commodity out there with these high prices. Because what's the cure for high prices? High prices. What's the cure for low prices? Low prices. So that's how the cycles work. Again, we're not alone. This isn't just corn. This isn't just soybeans. It's also affecting end user markets. If you look at this chart, this basically shows the output side. Weekly meal, weekly ethanol, hogs, cattle, all of these prices of all of these commodities are at much different values than they were to start 2014. And certainly if I had a monthly chart, it would be a lot different than where they peaked in 2008. So I want to spend a little bit of time on the global side of it, and then we'll kind of drive down into the U.S. level. But some takeaway points here. I don't normally talk a lot about wheat, and I'm not going to, but I want to point out something. We are at record carryout levels of wheat. Carryout is leftover supply. It's the supply that didn't get used. It's basically is what's left over after production and demand come out. So you look at that. Last year's wheat carryout worldwide was record. This year, it's not even comparable. It's up almost 20 million tons, which is getting close to 700 million bushels. Now think about that in perspective. That's 700 million bushels more than the next closest year. That's how big the world wheat stocks are right now. There's soybeans. World soybean carryout currently projected to be record levels. Again, last year was up we're almost 10 million tons bigger than the next closest year, or next recent closest year. That's 350 million bushels bigger than the next biggest year. Now think about this. What makes beans more interesting, because wheat's grown everywhere. Where are beans grown? Principally 3 different countries, right? 83% of the world's soybean crop is grown in 3 countries. And they're carrying all of this excess supply right now. So that's why it's more important than the bean side. And then there's corn. These are your 3 principal world grain crops that are grown and exported. All 3 have record levels of carryout. Yet we are fundamentally in an oversupply situation. Things can change, clearly, but this is where we are today. So we're up 2 million tons. It's marginally higher, but where we were back in the high price era, we're well above those levels. And I'm going to spend some time talking about the dollar, because this is the, to me, this is the thing that happened that probably, I could see the writing on the wall toward the world rebuilding stocks a few years ago. We could see that taking place. This is something that took place a year and a half ago that I don't think I was really prepared for. What we've seen is an incredible rally in the U.S. dollar. What happens to, well, I'll get into that here in a second, but you can see where we have been. Technology. You can see what happened in late 2014. Sharp U.S. dollar rally. Look at that historically. That chart was all the way back to 1997. That is a lot of history. We're back to a high-priced U.S. dollar. This is very different also during the time, where we saw a lot of our ethanol expansion, a lot of our demand expansion was taking place during a low dollar environment. So what are the two impacts that a high-priced U.S. dollar has? We are seeing both of these today, and we probably will see them for the foreseeable future. There's two. One, it makes our values very expensive to a foreign buyer. We've seen some of the comments from even outside of the grain industry. Yellen's Fed comments earlier in February. What was one of the reasons that they cited slow GDP growth? Sluggish export program, right? That is affecting the grain markets as well. The other impact this has is, and this is in my opinion more important than the export thing, if you can believe that, is that it raises prices for key foreign growers. And why is that? It's because the foreign grower has their own currency risk. They're basically receiving their local currency, but the currency that they're trading is on CBOT. They're getting dollars on the CBOT, and then they're receiving their currency locally when they go to sell. So what that means is they're getting more of their local currency when their currency is weaker. So lower foreign currency is better for the foreign producer. High U.S. dollar is better for the foreign producer. And that's what's taking place right now. I'm going to illustrate that in the next few slides. Yesterday, I didn't run over like 11 alone, but there's people that like far side, there's people that don't. I like it. This is my comment on how it relates to the dollar. Fumbling for his recline button, Ted unwittingly instigates a disaster. This is the wings stay on and wings fall off switch, unfortunately. So what this relates to is the dollar to me is that thing that I didn't see happen. This is the wings fall off button for the market. And unfortunately, it's a big impact, and you're going to see how big it is. So talk about the world markets right now. And I think this is fascinating. If you think about, we have three primary world grain export hubs in the world. What's interesting about it is that we've got three. You've got the U.S., Canada, you've got South America, and you've got the Black Sea. There's about 10% of the world's population in those three hubs. But they produce about 50% of the world's corn, soybeans, and wheat. And they are feeding the world, essentially. Those three regions are feeding the world with grain. What's interesting about those three regions is which one has the strong dollar, or the strong currency there. There's only one. The other two are falling apart. There's the Brazilian real, and there's the Russian ruble, and there's even the Canadian dollar. All three of those currencies, and the Argentine peso is not in because I can't pull the data, but the Argentine peso just made all-time low, or rose for the move yesterday. So we're talking about all of our principal competitors are in a free fall in their currencies, and that is beneficial to their export program, and ironically, with the producer receiving U.S. dollars or being local currency and trading U.S. dollars, it's beneficial for them. So grains are commodity, right? Everybody's held to the same basic grain standards. As a buyer, foreign buyer that's looking to import, which market are you going to buy? If everything is the same at all levels, what's the deciding factor on where you go to purchase your needs? Price, right? We're fighting an uphill battle with the high price dollar no matter what the situation. We are fighting that constantly because the dollar is taking us out of the market. This is an interesting chart too. This shows competitor corn exports. This is basically shows you what took place. Now the U.S. isn't in here. We've got former Soviet Union, so there's your Black Sea region. You've got Brazil. Colors are kind of hard to read. But Brazil, Argentina. Those are your three principal grain hubs that we were talking about. Look at what happened in 2009.